So, it is Friday. That means it is time for Brunch with Bernie, and Senator Bernie Sanders on the line with us from Burlington, Vermont. How are you, Senator?
I am great, Tom, and it's going to be great that you're coming to Vermont to do an alternative media conference that is an issue of enormous significance, and I'm sure you're going to have great crowds out there at Goddard College. On Saturday, actually, in the state of Vermont, we're doing something that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have the ambassador from Denmark coming, and we're going to do a town meeting on Saturday noon in Burlington City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going down to Brattleboro, and on Sunday we're going to do something in Montpelier. And the reason that I am bringing the Danish ambassador to the United States, to the state of Vermont, is that I think it's important that people understand there are different social models out there around the world. And I think a lot of people, when they look at what's going on in the United States, very high unemployment, the only country in the world without a national health care program, very bad pension system, inadequate child care, enormous disparities in income and wealth. And people say, well, that's the way it is. It must be all over the world. Well, the answer is it's not. You have some Scandinavian countries like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, who have done a much better job in creating a social safety net which protects ordinary people. So you have in countries like Denmark a healthcare system which guarantees healthcare to all people, and it's a very popular system. People feel pretty good about it. And it costs almost half as much per person as our healthcare system. They have a child care system which 3/4 of the payment comes from their government. They have family leave, which is much, much stronger than what we have in terms of when you have a baby. Stronger unemployment benefits, job training, college education there is free. Now, all of those things end up costing money, and the amount of taxes that people in Denmark pay on a progressive basis is more than we pay in the United States, but they get a lot more in return. But I think it's important, and what ends up happening is if you don't have to worry about health care because it's covered, if you don't have to worry about the cost of higher education because it's covered, if you don't have to worry about child care because it's significantly covered, if you don't have to worry about loss of income when you have a baby because that's covered, and you don't have to worry about your retirement because you have a pretty strong retirement system, what ends up happening is you live under less stress. And when they do these international surveys about people's happiness and well-being, Denmark often comes out quite high. So I think there's something for us to learn. We are a very different country. We're much, much larger than Denmark, much more diverse than Denmark, different history than Denmark. But I wanted to bring the ambassador here just to talk about a social system which is in many ways different than ours. It's a capitalistic society, to be sure, but they have done a much better job in using the wealth gained from that system to protect their children and their vulnerable people and their middle class than we have, I think.
Yeah, you know, we did our show for an entire week from Denmark. The Danish radio loaned us a studio.
I remember that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, yeah.
And what was your impression of Denmark?
It was astounding. We had a wonderful time. I was on Danish TV. They invited me to come on their national television and interview me as the American. And the guy was like, "Is it true that in America people can actually go bankrupt if they get sick?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's half of all bankruptcies." And the guy says, "No, you're just making that up."
Yeah.
I mean, it just...
And the point, well, I'm glad that you did that because the media in general in this country does not talk about some of the important programs and ideas that are existing around the rest of the world. We're going to bring the Danish ambassador. I'm glad that you were able to broadcast the week's worth of shows from Denmark. They have a lot to be proud of, and I think it's something that we should look at and see what can work in the United States.
Yeah.
This week we had a very good rally. We worked with some senior groups to put together a rally in the Capitol on Social Security. We had Jack Reed of Rhode Island, Elizabeth Warren was there, and we had a number of people from the House. I guess Peter DeFazio was on your show
yesterday,
the other day, and talking about the need to firmly oppose the so-called chained CPI. And I am beginning to feel that we may win this fight. You have virtually all Republicans who want to cut Social Security, have wanted to do it for many years. Tragically, the President of the United States, Barack Obama, became on board that effort. As I've mentioned many, many times, this is not just a little tweak. If you're 65 and this so-called chain CPI were to go into effect by the time you're 75, you'd lose about $650 a year. And as chairman of the Veterans Committee, I am very concerned that the so-called chain CPI would result in cuts in benefits for disabled vets amounting to tens of thousands of dollars if somebody was disabled when they were young throughout their lifetime. So we're going to fight hard to make sure that we do not balance the budget on the backs of seniors, on the backs of disabled vets, or cut other programs that in the middle of this terrible recession working families desperately need. There are ways to do deficit reduction, and that, as you asked, the wealthiest people in this country are doing phenomenally well, and the largest corporations who are enjoying record-breaking profits to start paying their fair share of taxes. And you can do that quite simply given the fact that 1 out of 4 major corporations pays nothing in taxes right now. They're enjoying these unbelievable loopholes that enable them to put their profits in the Cayman Islands, other tax havens. So we're working on that issue. But the key point here is that with sequestration and everything else, we cannot continue to balance the budget on the backs of a middle class which is already being decimated. Median family income has gone down $5,000 since 1999. Almost all of the new income being created in American society today goes to the top 1%. Disparities in income wealth are just unbelievable. So we got to maintain that important fight. One of the issues that I want to be, we do a Bernie Buzz, and I look forward to listeners going to our website, sanders.senate.gov, and taking a look at it. This week we're going to feature youth unemployment, because as bad as unemployment is in this country, and real unemployment as opposed to official unemployment is close to 14%, it is much higher for young people. And I worry very, very much. Imagine these kids, whether you're high school graduates or whether you're college graduates, you want to get out into the world, and there are just not the jobs there for you, or in some cases there are jobs if you're a college graduate, but you don't need a college degree to do it.
Right. Jobs at Burger King kind of thing.
Exactly. And it is, what a way to begin your adult life, by being unemployed or by not getting a job that you're qualified to fill. So this is an issue I want to focus attention on because it is terribly important. We'll pick it up after the break.
Okay. Senator Bernie Sanders is with us. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour here on the Thom Hartmann Program. Your opportunity to speak with the United States Senator, ask him your question. Senator Sanders' website, he mentioned the Bernie Buzz just a minute ago. It's a great newsletter, and you can sign up for it over at sanders.senate.gov. Of course, it's free, and it's great.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
16 minutes past the hour. We'll be back with more Bernie Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders, right after this. And welcome back. And Bernie, you're still with us?
Yeah, before we get to the call,
sure.
The other issue I wanted to mention is the Postal Service. I know a lot of your listeners are concerned about the future of the Postal Service, and this is an issue we continue to work on. We now have 22 co-sponsors on very good legislation.
In the Senate?
In the Senate. Pete DeFazio in the House has, I think, 130 co-sponsors there. So we're making some progress in saving the Postal Service and making the important point that while the Postal Service does have financial problems, most of those problems, about 80% of them, have everything to do with the burden placed on the Postal Service in 2006 by Congress, forcing them to fund 75 years of retiree health benefits in a 10-year period, over $5 billion a year. And that is 80% of the financial problem of the Postal Service. Remove that, deal with some other issues, we can save the Postal Service see them prosper, and not lay off tens and tens of thousands of workers who today have decent paying jobs.
Yeah. Okay. Austin in Mount Carmel, Tennessee. You're on the air, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Senator Sanders, could you sponsor a bill to get rid of this 60 votes to pass legislation in the Senate and make it just an up or down vote like we have in the House of Representatives? And thank you, sir.
Well, Austin, it's funny that you should raise that issue. The answer is I am on board. I don't know that it's legislation, but an effort to change the rules in the Senate that would do just that. And Austin touches on a very important point. I'll give you just an example, Austin, of what happened the other day. I'm on the Environmental Committee, chaired by Senator Barbara Boxer. And on Thursday morning, we met to vote on the nomination of Gina McCarthy, who is, I think, a fine candidate, an Obama appointee, to be the next administrator of the EPA. And the EPA obviously does enormously important work in terms of protecting our water and our air, and also dealing with the issues of global warming, which I consider to be a very important issue. Well, guess what? None of the Republicans showed up. They boycotted the meeting. They had sent her over 1,000 questions. Still were not satisfied. They wanted more questions, whatever it may be. They boycotted the meeting, and it deliberately slowing up the appointment of the administrator of the EPA, a very, very important position. They are making it impossible for us to fill the appointees on the National Labor Relations Board, which is very important to American workers, denying Obama's right to appoint judges to a variety of very important courts, and on it goes. And what I said at that meeting, and what I have said many times before, is when I was growing up as a kid, what I learned in school is that majority rules in the United States of America. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but it's majority rule. And so, Austin, in the case, that is the case in the House. To get anything done in the United States Senate now, we need, on any significant piece of legislation, 60 votes. And that is hard to come by, and I think it is one of the reasons why the American people are so demoralized politically in this country. So I agree with Austin, and we are working on it.
Good. Senator Sanders is with us. It is our Brunch with Bernie hour. We'll be back with more of your calls for Senator Bernie Sanders right after this. Thom Hartmann Program is underwritten in part by Identity Guard. Don't count on luck to protect you from identity theft. More information at identityguard.com/dollar. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, defending America from the weapons of mass deception. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour. Senator Bernie Sanders taking your calls, answering your questions on the issues of the day. Laura in Sebring, Florida. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Senator. It's good to talk to you. You're my hero.
Thank you.
I'm on your Facebook page. I just love you so much because you stand up for the American people. But what I want to know is these veterans that are disabled, are they going to be cut with this changed CPI?
Yes, they will. All right, let me just say that, Laura, and again, as the chairman of the Veterans Committee, I am going to do everything I can to stop this. And we have some, ideas to make sure that these cuts don't happen. But could you imagine, at a time when we have so much income and wealth inequality in America, where the wealthiest people are becoming wealthier and their tax rates are relatively low, we have 1 out of 4 corporations not paying a nickel in taxes, that the way some people want to do deficit reduction is by cutting benefits for men and women who've lost their arms and their legs defending this country. I mean, that to me is so obscene and so unspeakable that I don't even like to go into great length. That is absolutely not what this country is about. A lot of these, folks came home, they lost their legs in Iraq, Afghanistan at the age of 21, 22, their whole lives, They had to rebuild their whole lives, start anew, and to cut back on some of the benefits that they were promised is just not acceptable. But to answer your question is yes, and in the course of the lifetime of that vet, say that he was injured at the age of 20, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars less than he otherwise would have gotten. So we are going to fight that, but that is the sad truth.
Mike in Whitefish, Montana. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Hartmann, for taking my call, and thank you, Senator, for being available. My question comes down to, Senator, in 2012, you sponsored an amendment on the Farm Bill to label, have states have the right to label genetically engineered foods. And since the 2013 Farm Bill is likely to be the only farm bill that passes Congress, will you again please sponsor an amendment to label genetically engineered foods?
The answer is yes. It's an issue that I feel very strongly about, and I think a whole lot of people in this country, including mothers and fathers who want to make sure that they know what they're serving their kids, also feel strongly about. And it's a fairly conservative amendment. And by the way, what it says is states should have the right to do labeling of genetically modified food if they so choose. I mean, it's a pretty conservative concept. This is being done, as I recall, throughout Europe. It's not a new idea, and it should be done in the United States. I think so. To answer your question, Mike, yes, we intend to go forward with that.
Dave in Buffalo, New York. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Oh, Bernie and Tom, thank you so very much. I love you both.
Thank you, Dave.
My question is, how do the working poor afford Obamacare? My understanding is that he's going to reduce the amount of taxes on the poor so they can afford the health insurance. But if you're making $20,000 and they take $20 a week out, and you multiply that by the weeks in the month, and then you figure out how much the total amount of the health care is going to be, it still is out of our price range. What is that? Am I understanding that correctly, or
Dave, I tell you the truth, and maybe Tom and I should spend some time on that. I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I don't want to misspeak. I don't think what you're saying is quite accurate, and I think the Obamacare will protect lower income working people. But it's an issue that we should go into in a definitive way, and I apologize for not having the information in front of me. Tom, why don't we put that on the agenda for a future show?
Okay, that sounds like a good plan.
It's going up. Dave, I apologize. I don't think what you're saying is accurate, but I don't have the numbers in front of me.
There is a website that the administration has put up that has a lot of those answers. It's called healthcare.gov. And people can check that out.
What I do know, let me just say this, what I do know, Dave, is one of the important features of Obamacare is, and it's long overdue, is to bring a whole lot of people into health insurance who today don't have it. We're talking about 30 million people, half getting Medicaid, half getting into the exchanges with federal help. But the other aspects of Obamacare, which are very important, are the ability of young people who are in families whose parents have health insurance to be able to stay on that health insurance until the age of 26. Just ironically, in my office here in Burlington, a couple of hours ago, I met a young man who was dealing with epilepsy, has had seizures throughout almost his entire life. The drugs that he needs cost over $20,000 a year.
Whoa.
$20,000 a year. And he is now able to stay, I think he's 25 now, on his parents' program because of Obamacare. So there are some strong elements of Obamacare, some that are not so good that we want to improve upon. But to answer Dave's question, we should have the definitive information in front of us.
Okay. We have only about 45 seconds before the break at the bottom of the hour, Bernie. Anything you wanted to go off on?
All right. Well, the only thing that I wanted, let me revert back to this issue of the Postal Service, because I think there are a lot of listeners out there. The key issue here is ending this onerous burden of pre-health care. And if we do that, we can make the Postal Service strong, protect rural post offices, protect the mail processing plants, make sure that mail delivery is done on in a timely manner, protect tens and tens of thousands of jobs, and also prevent this, what we call a death spiral, by cutting and cutting and cutting, lowering the quality of the Postal Service, which will drive more people out of it. So fighting to protect the Postal Service is one of the issues we're working pretty hard on.
Great. Senator Bernie Sanders with us, taking your calls, answering your questions. We'll be back with more of your calls for Senator Sanders right after the news and this break right at the bottom of the hour. Stick around. 28 minutes past the hour.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
And check out Bernie's website, sanders.senate.gov. You can sign up for the Bernie Buzz there, his newsletter. Welcome back to the Thom Hartmann Program.
I wanted to ask you, with these Common Core standards, we all support it, but there seems to be no funding behind it and also no curriculum. Is there anything that the Obama administration will do to help support it? And have, children that are way behind grade level that are having difficulty with these Common Core standards. How can either the Obama administration or the Congress support this new initiative?
Well, Joan, you raised an issue which touches on a huge issue, and that is our commitment to public education in this country, and our commitment especially for the low-income kids of this country, and making sure that they get the education they need to succeed in the 21st century. What I would tell you is there have been some initiatives from the Obama administration getting money out, but what I worry about right now is the impact of sequestration on Title I funding, which will impact low-income schools all over this country. I worry that the child care initiative, the president has come up with an idea which is very important, and that is addressing the child care crisis in this country, in which millions of working families just cannot find affordable child care. Their kids come to school behind, and I don't know that we're going to be successful in finding funding for that as well. So, Joan, I'm not sure that I can give you terribly optimistic news on that. We are in a great funding struggle with the Republican House, who want to cut and cut and cut. And I think unless we turn this around, education is going to be one of the victims of those cuts.
Mary Jo in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You're listening on Sirius Satellite Radio. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hello, Senator Sanders. You are the greatest person in Congress. You need to run for president.
Well,
my question goes back to back with the FAFSA loan program. My daughter fills out her college application FAFSA January 1st. Under Obamacare, they're guaranteed like $5,500. By March 1st, they receive their letter that says what they're going to receive, and then we offset and know what we need to pay for her to start her next year of college. She has received nothing yet. And my question is, does sequester have anything to do with the FAFSA loan program and her getting those government-funded loans?
Mary Jo, that is a great question. I suspect that the answer is yes, but I don't have that in front of me. I would think that the answer would be yes, but sequester cuts does not eliminate. So it would certainly not explain why, as I understand it, you've gotten zero funding. Is that what you're saying?
She said she just hasn't heard back yet.
No, the process may be slowed up. That's a possibility. Yeah. But I can't give you an answer. What I would do, Mary Jo, is give your local congressperson a ring, and sometimes they have staff that are pretty good, and they can inquire and find out what's going on.
Manuel in Grays Lake, Illinois, listening to WCPT. Manuel, you're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Senator Sanders. My question is, will you please open and promote a White House petition that addresses stopping free trade and to reactivate our original American industrial policy of tariffs that built the middle class?
Well, Manuel, if you have been listening to the show that Thom Hartmann and I have been doing for years now, this is an issue that has come up and up and up time after time after time, and Thom and I agree with you. One of the reasons we're looking at the collapse of the middle class, and one of the reasons why wages are going down, and one of the reasons why we have lost some 60,000 factories in the last 10 years and millions of decent-paying manufacturing jobs, has everything to do with unfettered free trade. And NAFTA and CAFTA and permanent normal trade relations, all of which I voted against, was based on total fabrications and a total effort on the part of corporate America to deceive the American people. And the bottom line is that unfettered free trade, in which American workers are forced to compete against people making pennies an hour, has been a disaster for the American working class. So the answer to your question is I am one of the leaders and will continue to be one of the leaders in every way. And if we can get people to sign that petition and let the president know that he's wrong on continuing to push these free trade agreements that came from Reagan and came from Bush 1 and went to Clinton and and then back to Bush 2 and to Obama. The facts are pretty clear that while we have gained some jobs from exporting, we have lost a heck of a lot more when companies are shut down and moved abroad. So, I very much agree with you, Manuel.
Andy in Pensacola, Florida. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Senator Sanders, thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I heard you talking earlier today, and you were talking about raising taxes on corporations. You know, it seems to me that that's just a disguise to tax the American people, because corporations just flow the cost through to the people. How do we do that?
Well, Andy, that's not quite accurate. If that were that true, then I can assure you the corporations would not be spending millions of dollars fighting every effort to raise their taxes. We have a situation today where the effective tax rate on corporate profits is the lowest that it has been since, I believe, 1972. And we're in a situation where corporate taxes as a percentage of all of our revenue is the lowest that it has been in a very, very, very long time. And we're in a situation today where major corporations, like General Electric, go year after year after making billions of dollars in profits, and they pay nothing in taxes. So I think that it is appropriate to ask corporate America to start paying their fair share of taxes, as we have done in the past. And I think it makes a lot more sense for us to do that than it is to cut Social Security or Medicaid or end Medicare as we know it, or other very important programs. So that is my view, Andy.
Joel in American Fork, Utah. You're on the air, Senator Sanders.
Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. Hey, I heard you talk about Denmark earlier and their single-payer system we have over there.
Yep.
It works for them. I don't think it's the best solution here. My question is, I think we need a hybrid system here in America. And really to back that up, I have a few statistics. Number one, American doctors have won the Nobel Prize for Medicine more than all the European countries and their doctors combined. And that profit motive has led to amazing advances. But at the same time, no one should ever go broke because they get sick. So with the Democrats screaming single payer, single payer, single payer, and the Republicans screaming status quo, and both systems end up screwing the average American in one way or another in the long run. Where's that happy medium to where we can keep the innovation that's made America great, that's made us prosperous, that's led to, transplants and cancer drugs like Avastin, even though only about 10% of the people that need it actually get it? Where's that? And then where's the making sure people don't go broke?
Well, Joel,
we need a medium. We need a hybrid.
Well, Joe, thanks for your question, and I kind of don't agree with much of what you have said. I don't think the American healthcare system is one of the great healthcare systems in the world. Obviously, There have been some real pioneers, great scientists, great doctors, done fantastic things. And we have some of the best hospitals in the world, no question about that. But I think when you end up with a healthcare system that we have right now, which is, in terms of per capita spending, per person spending, we spend almost twice as much as any other country on earth. We spend not twice as much as Denmark, but almost twice as much as they do. They have health care for all of their people. Many of their health care outcomes are, in fact, better than ours. And that's true for many other countries as well, who provide health care to all people. In terms of prescription drugs, you make the point that there have been a lot of breakthroughs here in the United States, and that's true. But don't forget that a lot of those breakthroughs came as a result of federal funding. And the end result of that is, we end up in many cases with very good drugs, but a lot of people can't afford those drugs. And we end up with a situation where in the United States we end up spending much, much more for prescription drugs than do the people of other countries. I, some years ago, took people in the state of Vermont across the Canadian border to Montreal to buy drugs which at that time were 1/10 the price, same exact medicine that they were in the United States. So I think the system that we have today is very, very wasteful, very dysfunctional in a whole lot of respects. I do believe that a single-payer solution administered at the statewide level is the way to go. And the waste incurs because you have private insurance companies whose goal in life is not providing good quality health care to make it as much money as they can. I think that ends up distorting the whole system.
45 minutes past the hour. We'll be back with more of Senator Bernie Sanders taking your calls, answers to your questions right after this.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And check out Sanders.senate.gov to sign up for the Bernie Buzz, Bernie's newsletter. It is a great news source. Welcome back. And Brian in Asheville, North Carolina. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Senator Sanders. I'm curious to know why you did not appear as a Senate co-sponsor to the Federal Reserve Transparency Act, and so many Republicans in the House and Senate that have different ideologies than you have signed on.
Well, I'm not quite. The role that I have played in the Fed, Brian, is twofold. We led the effort successfully for the first time to do an audit of the Fed, and that took place during the emergency period. And we're working on Fed reform legislation right now, which would end having Wall Street companies sit on regional Fed. So that's kind of the areas that I am focused on right now.
Rick in Geneva, Florida, watching on Free Speech TV. You're on the air, Senator Sanders.
Good afternoon, Senator. I'm a disabled veteran, and I've had a fair amount of traffic with the VA, and they have their ups and downs, but they take pretty good care of me. But I've been reading a little note from some other veterans advocates, people who work with the VA in conjunction with veterans claims. And according to them, they say that the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee and the Committee on Veterans Affairs, are you not a member of that committee?
I'm in the Senate. I'm the chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee.
Oh, excuse me. Well, anyway, Jeff Miller seems to be the failure by design program here to undermine the ability of the Veterans Administration to do a job. But there's a plan afoot to fire the Undersecretary for Benefits, a woman named Allison Hickey, a retired Brigadier General.
Right.
And he's blaming everything on her, and he just wants to fire her. And it seems that this is the same sort of thing they've done with the Post Office and the SEC, and, you know, they managed to just disable every agency so that everything fails. So sure enough, government is no good because it's falling apart, because they can't get any judges, they can't get people to run agencies, they can't get funds. So is this another case of failure by design?
Well, Rick, you raise a very good point. I do not believe Jeff Miller of Florida is the chairman of the House Veterans Committee. and I'm trying to think, did he? I think he may have asked for General Hickey's resignation. I think you're probably right. Here's what you got. And I actually just coincidentally spoke with General Hickey this morning. What you have is a situation where for many, many years, for reasons that I can't answer, the VA, under Bush and before Bush, chose to maintain a system based on paper. And you may know, Rick, especially if you're a disabled vet, some of these claims are enormously complicated, and there is folder after folder after folder of information about one particular claim. And all of it is on paper. And meanwhile, the Social Security Administration and meanwhile every corporation in this country moved away from paper into the digital world, which obviously expedites the work that they have to do. General Shinseki, who's now Secretary of the VA, made a decision to move from paper to paperless. He said it could be done by the year 2015. They are making progress, but you're right, they're getting beaten up pretty badly. So we're going to keep an eye on them. We want to make sure that transition takes place appropriately. But you're right in saying that just attacking individuals.
Welcome back to the place where despair is not an option, a line that I borrowed from Senator Sanders many years ago. Senator Bernie Sanders with us, taking your calls. And Bernie, did you want to finish a thought on...
I don't know that we may have gotten interrupted. The bottom line there is, I think you got a good secretary in Eric Shinseki, the four-star general.
Secretary of the Veterans Administration.
They are undertaking the very, very difficult process of dealing with a record-breaking number of claims coming in, and at the same time, going from paper to paperless. It is not easy. Allison Hickey is the person, the undersecretary assigned to doing that. I can tell you she's working very, very hard. Just met with her at the teleconference this morning. So I certainly do not think that we should be firing her. I think we should be supporting her and giving them the resources to make sure that we significantly improve the claims process, and veterans do not have to wait inordinate amounts of time to get the benefits to which they are entitled, which unfortunately is happening right now.
Marcia in Angier, North Carolina. Listening on WCPT's.com's website, web stream. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Well, thank you. I'm so lucky I got in. I was wondering if, Senator Sanders, you would be interested in introducing a Bill of Rights for voting. We sort of bounced it off of what Tom and some other people had worked on, and we fleshed it out. Things like the right to vote, including D.C.'s right to vote, making sure that we have money for elections, qualifying that all ballot access is the same. I have it written down. I can email it to you if you want to look it over.
The answer is yes, and there are a number of people in the Senate who are working in one way or another on that issue. Marcia, I absolutely agree with everything that you said, whether it's D.C. statehood or whether it is making sure that we do our best to make it as easy and positive an experience as possible for people to participate in the political process. As you know, our Republican friends are doing exactly the opposite. They're trying to put up all kinds of roadblocks, making it harder for people to participate. And clearly we're going to fight that. But at the same time, we also want to make sure that people in this country, the United States of America in the year 2012, 2013, should not have to wait 6, 7, 8 hours in order to participate in the democratic process. So the answer to your question is a big yes. We have got to significantly improve our election system. I believe in same-day registration, where people can register on the day of the election. And we have just got to figure out ways to make it easier for people to participate in the political process, being mindful that we prevent any kind of voter fraud at the same time.
Ken in Great Falls, Montana, watching on Free Speech TV on direct satellite TV. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. About the XL pipeline, when I look at it, they keep telling us it's for our own security. So why don't we pass a law that says any of that oil or any fuels from this country which will be exported should have a 30% tax on them? It would be a security tax until America is down to importing 10% of their oil. So we'd have this 30% on anything exported.
You're wanting a tax on a lot of other exporting the oil.
Pardon?
Yeah, as I understand it, Tom, what Ken is talking about is he is worried about that some of this XL oil coming from Alberta would end up going to Asia and elsewhere, being exported.
Right, being exported, yeah.
Yeah,
and in fact, that's the main reason why they want to take it down to Texas, I think.
Right. My own view on the pipeline is that I happen to believe that global warming is real. It is an enormously serious problem. Scientists tell us that this problem which will result and is resulting in extreme weather disturbances. We're going to see more of those, flooding, droughts, heat waves. It is a huge issue, and I think understanding that we have got to significantly cut carbon emissions and greenhouse gas emissions in general, opening up that whole Alberta area to the XL pipeline does not make sense to me, and I strongly oppose it.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. One more quick question here. Marie in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A quick question for Bernie, please.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I was wondering because on Chain CPI, I'm a senior and I'm also a veteran. So that means that I get cut twice with the COLAs. Has anybody brought that up, that a disabled veteran, senior veteran, would be cut twice?
Well, yes, it has been brought up, and clearly that is simply unacceptable. It's unacceptable to be cut once, let alone twice. So, Marie, all I can tell you is this idea, and let me just say a word about the concept of the chain CPI. The concept is that we are overestimating, that we have been too generous in terms of the COLA, cost of living adjustments, that we're giving to seniors. And I think when seniors hear that, they usually laugh because they know in the last 4 years, 2 years have come and gone where they got zero COLAs at all. So, Marie, what I would tell you is this whole concept of the chain CPI is faulty. We have over 200 PhD economists who strongly disagree with the logic behind it. I think you're seeing more and more senators and members of the House saying, sorry, we are not going to cut Social Security and we're not going to cut benefits for disabled vets. So we've got to keep moving on that. But your point that it's not only people on Social Security who are going to be cut, or disabled vets, some people receive both and they're going to be hit twice as hard. That makes the case as to why we should oppose this even stronger. So thanks very much for calling, Marie.
And Bernie, we have about 15 seconds left. A final thought for the day?
Well, my final thought is what it usually is. These are tough times for our country. Big money has a huge impact of what's going on in Washington, and if ordinary people do not stand up and fight back, the future of the middle class is not good. So whether the issue is Social Security or veterans' needs or whatever it may be, get on the phone. There are 800. Your senator, your House member, has an 800 toll-free number. Call him, call her, write letters to the editor, fight back.
There you go. Senator Bernie Sanders. Bernie, thanks so much for being with us and for being on the program again today.
Thank you, Tom. Take care.